everyone. Welcome back to Time Out with Addie. I'm Addie, your host, and thank you for tuning in. Today we'll be talking about Love Island UK. Make sure to follow me on Instagram at addie.olokun. Check out my podcast if you're watching on YouTube, and check out my YouTube if you're listening to my podcast. All links will be provided below. Okay, so let's get into it. By the way, this video, it will only really make sense to people who actually watch the show because I'm not going to give too much backstory, so I don't really spoil it. So yesterday was the finale of Love Island UK season 7, and I've been following along. I've been watching the show since 2019. In my opinion, that has been the best season. This season is definitely up there too. After watching season 5, I went back to watch all the early seasons, and I had to say the more recent seasons are a lot better. Anyway, so I feel like you guys could probably guess what I'm gonna get into. What I'm gonna talk about today is Kaz and the treatment of Black contestants in general in the UK. So I've also watched the first season of Love Island US, and I also watched a few episodes of the season 2, or I think that's the season that just came out. And I can notice a clear difference in the way both shows conduct themselves. Personally, I just feel like Love Island US is pretty cringy, and it's not as entertaining, and it's just not as good as Love Island UK, which is definitely sad or unfortunate because I feel like Love Island US does a lot better with representation. I would say a lot better. It does better with representation and their treatment or portrayal of Black people or Black women on the show. So Love Island, I feel like I'm definitely going to do maybe, this is definitely not going to be the only podcast I do on this show and this season of Love Island UK. But mostly what I'm going to be focusing on today is the treatment of Kaz. So Kaz, from literally the second she walked in, she was this whole bubbly, nice, lovely character on the show, always smiling, always laughing, really goofy and fun. And I felt like there was no way to fault her. She was just a ray of sunshine. Most times when an islander would leave the island and they asked who do you like, who were you closest to, or who do you like the most, or something like that, they would all say Kaz. So you just knew that she was a nice person, true and true. And no one could fault that. I could see people I've been following the Love Island subreddit, and I've been following on Twitter, I've been following on Instagram, and kind of gauging what people are saying. And from the beginning, most people couldn't really fault Kaz. You couldn't really say anything bad about her, especially with her hard time with Toby. You couldn't really say anything bad about her. Getting a call from my mom. Okay, so where was I? Okay, so basically, yeah, none of these people could really say anything bad about her. No one could say anything bad about her. She wasn't getting much hate. Everyone was loving her. The people who were hating on her, all they could really say was, oh, she's so annoying. Oh, she's too bubbly. Oh, she must be fake. As if a Black woman being bubbly is just too hard to believe. It has to be a fake. She must be putting on an act. She isn't the stereotypical Black woman in their eyes, so she must be faking this whole personality. But yeah, that was literally the height of the hate she would get. But moving on to the whole situation with Tyler and Matt, everything changed. So finally, people had a reason to hate Kaz. And oh, did they really feed into that? basically what happened is that Kaz, after what Tyler did, she still had feelings for Tyler, but she decided to move on with Matt. She basically still had feelings for Tyler, but she was with Matt also. And she couldn't shake the feelings that she had for Tyler. She still liked him, even though he did come back with somebody, even though she saw that postcard. And yeah, so she still decided she couldn't help how she felt. And she told Tyler that, and she told Matt that she still had feelings for Tyler. At the same time, she was asking Matt to give her like 100%. She was asking, telling Tyler that she still wanted to pursue stuff with her. So it seemed like she was asking like Matt to just be completely into her as her, but she was still trying to do stuff with Tyler, asking Matt for 100%, yet she wasn't giving him 100% because she was still hoping to get with Tyler. I can admit that doesn't look, it didn't look the best that she was asking him for 100%, Matt for 100%, while she wasn't giving him 100% and still continuing on telling Tyler that the door is opening, like she has feelings for him and she's willing to give him another chance. But we have to remember that this is a TV show and the producers are going to edit it in any way they like. So the way that we saw it could have been like differently, like the clip that we saw with her asking Matt for 100% could have been from days before, or it could have been from days after, or the producers can edit it any way they want to put out an idea about the contestant on the show. So that's one thing that's really hard about these type of shows, to try and figure out what is real and what is not. And because the producers are going to put it in a way to, because there's a way they want you to feel about each person on the show. You know what I'm saying? And then with that, Matt decided that it was over between them. He just told her, we're done. And the most blunt breakup I've ever seen on reality TV. But yeah, and that was fine that he ended it, but people were really blowing it out of proportion the way that Kaz treated Matt. They were acting like she had done this most horrible, terrible thing to him and just treated him so bad. And they acted like she was the one that got him dumped from Love Island, when it was, in fact, Priya who decided to go with Brett. So, I just found that really crazy, the lengths that people were going, like the hate that she was getting, the racial comments towards her for this little incident between her and Matt, when there was people like Liam, like what Liam did to Millie in Casa Amor. There's how Faye reacted to Teddy and the treatment of everyone in the villa on that night. There's so many other things that were worse than what she did, and there's so many people that did worse than what she did, yet she was getting so much hate. Like, people found this little thing that she did, it was questionable, and they really like went for her. Like, they really went for her. And I just think that says a lot. I don't want to just put the whole UK into a box, but I just think it says a lot about the people there. And anytime, like I said, I was on the subreddit, so anytime anyone would bring up this like clear racial injustice or insensitivity, or if anyone implied that the hate that she's getting may be racist, people would reply with, oh my God, why is it always about race? And why are you always using the race card? That is one thing I have seen so much while following Love Island this year. The race card. The race card. Like, I feel like anyone who uses that term is just insensitive, really, because I feel like there's loads of situations that people feel like, oh, this may be racist, and I feel like this is racist. I feel like this is something against me. And that's their experience and that's their opinion. And it's not for anyone else to tell them, that they're wrong, or that they're blowing it out of proportion, Like if somebody said that, for example, if somebody said that they fell and hit their arm and they felt like it really, really, really hurt, it's not my place or anyone else's place to tell them, oh no, it didn't look like it hurt that much. Oh no, it didn't even hurt, or you're overreacting. Nothing happened. It's not my place because I don't know their experience. I don't know how that felt. I didn't feel that with them, so I can't tell them that what they felt or what they experienced wasn't real or wasn't true. I even if I it didn't look like it hurt, I just have to accept that what they said and just let them be. So I feel like that should be applied to stuff to do with race. Like when somebody says, oh, I felt like that was racist, or I feel like people are being racist to me, it's not your place to be like, especially if you're not a person of color, it's not your place to be like, oh, I don't feel like that was racist, or da, 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 da. Because if you're not a person of color, you don't know that experience. You don't know what racism feels like. So how are you going to tell somebody who experiences like their whole life how to feel about something that you don't experience? You know what I'm saying? I just think it just shows a lot of privilege and insensitivity. Not to say that there shouldn't be a conversation. Like people should be able to talk about people of color and non-people of color alike should be able to talk about racism and talk about what is racism and what's not racism. But I don't think you should ever tell somebody that what they experience isn't real. Like that the phrase don't use the race card, and that to me is just like, from there I just know what kind of person you are, because you might feel like people race is talked about so much in everything, and you don't, and sometimes it doesn't need to be. But for other people, like for me, I feel like my race is part of everything, and you might not understand that, you might not know how that feels, but it's not for you to then discredit that or dismiss it. So with Kaz, I feel like the UK public were not fair with her. I feel like a lot of the hate she was getting was definitely racially motivated and about race, especially being like a dark-skinned woman. And this is not the first time it's happened. We can look at Yewande. She in season 5, she got the same treatment for like little things. She would get like the most amount of hate. She was even getting racist. People were even being quite like racist to her in the villa. Even I remember seeing a video of some guys that from previous seasons laughing at her name.
Who would you couple up with?
Wait, from the get-go on now.
From the get-go, like whoever's been in there, whatever girls.
I'm gonna be in trouble.
You've watched more than me. You Yonde!
No, they were like...
Oh my god!
Somebody on the show with her was complaining that they couldn't pronounce her name and asked if they could call her a nickname. Which is not okay at all. I mean, Yewande, it's not really rocket science, not that hard to pronounce. It's ridiculous when there's people on the show. Okay, there was somebody on the show called Mora. No one had an issue with pronouncing her name, even though her name is like a cultural Irish name that it's not very common. And she didn't ask to call her a different name. And Yewande is not a crazy name to pronounce. It's pretty simple. I feel like this conversation needs to be had, especially in places like the UK, where they like to push it on under the rug. Like they like to pretend that racism isn't real or it's not a thing, you know? Like anytime race is brought up, they're like, oh, why race? Like, why are you always talking about race? They just want to pretend that it's not a thing and pretend that they don't see the clear comments where people are calling them people like Kaz or Yawande monkeys and all these type of racist names. Like it's clear racism and you choose to ignore that. And I'm also not saying that racism isn't everywhere, like in Canada and in the US. It's definitely there. Um, like I was talking about Love Island US, those contestants were definitely experiencing racism. Yeah, there's racism everywhere, but I just feel like we should be talking about it. We shouldn't be pushing it under the rug. And I just noticed in the UK public that is something that seems to be happening. And I don't want to get like hate from the UK or from British people or anything. I know there's people who do want to have this conversation, but I'm just saying in what I'm seeing in like the subreddit, in the Love Island subreddit, or when I see on Twitter, I notice that it's just being pushed under the rug, which isn't okay. So yeah, this is definitely just part one. I'm definitely gonna have another talk about this pretty soon. There's so much about this to get into, but yeah, I just feel like Kaz's treatment on Love Island wasn't fair and it wasn't okay. And I also feel like the Love Island producers are not doing their job in addressing racism. And I also feel like they're kind of pushing that forward, like the way that they portrayed, trying to portray Kaz and Tyler, or the amount of airtime they get, or what exactly they show of them on screen. Like I would see on the unseen bits just like little clips of like cute things that they were doing, but they would never show that in the main show for Kaz and Tyler, which is not okay. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. Watch out for my next episode where we'll be talking about something new. Don't forget to check out my Instagram, YouTube, and podcast. See you guys next week.